Pam.
Hi, Joe. So nice to meet you.
Great to meet you. How are you today?
I am incredible, thank you.
Excellent. Where are you located?
I'm in Redondo Beach, California.
Oh, good for you. I love California.
What I have to tell you, I love that I lived in Kansas City for a year and a half in the early 90s, and I am a huge Chiefs fan. So
Okay.
I'm so excited that you're a Chiefs fan.
This is the time to celebrate. I mean,
It,
you
it
you
is.
know very well how dark it was with
I do.
Schottenheimer and Frank Gans and
Oh,
Blackledge and Bill Kenny. It was
it,
awful.
It was awful, and it's funny because I live in California. I have to preface when I say I'm a Chiefs fan, everyone assumes I'm a bandwagon fan.
Yeah,
You live in Kansas City, you get to just be a Chiefs fan and be proud of
sure.
it. I have to defend my honor. So
Absolutely. Well, I when I was a kid, they used to be the training camp was at William Jewell College in Liberty, and I grew up in Liberty. So I used to go see these guys, and it wasn't the spectacle. But I
yeah.
remember all the guys like Art Still and Dino Hackett, and there are these mountains of people, and I just couldn't believe it. And I always remember one time, Art Still had a very small, like probably 5'2" wife, and had like five kids. Okay. So I
How?
would just be like, how did that happen? A, all right. And then B, anytime he was done with his practice, he was a really good dad. All of those kids would climb on him like some Greek mythology thing. And it was so fun to watch. And
That
they would play
has
basketball and talk with us. So I've cultivated this relationship with that organization. And now I take my son up to St. Joe to see them practice. And it just could kind of get in that aggro
how
thing.
incredible. What a great
Fun.
experience. That's awesome.
So,
Well,
but
good.
I love California. I took with the family and we went to San Diego last year, and I've always been a big fan of just it's so beautiful. I mean, just the oceans and the mountains and
Mm,
In-N-Out Burger and all that. I love it.
I do love it here. I've been here for a while now, but I grew up in Connecticut. So
Okay.
I know what it's like to live in cold country and winters and snow and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you have a very interesting story. I love the work that you do. And before we get into that work, what I would
Yeah,
like to do is talk about the last 3.5 years of us
sure.
surviving a pandemic. How did you get through it? And how has it changed the way that you do things now?
It's so I'm single and I have to tell you, I'm an incredibly social person. So for me personally, the pandemic was really challenging because I was used to dinners with friends and I could be spontaneous and I was always going out and seeing people. And suddenly I saw my sister. That was it. We would see each other and that was challenging. But on a business level, some businesses really boomed during the pandemic. I struggled a bit. College students, as schools were closing, kids were going back home and a lot of parents felt like they didn't need me. They felt
Right.
like they didn't need my services because, hey, the kids are home with me, we're good. So it took a little bit of rebuilding, since COVID. And the truth is they really probably needed me more with online learning. That was incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
But it was the positive that came out of it. I used to do my calls over the telephone, and now Zoom has just blown up, and now I meet all my students over Zoom, and there's a lot more connection with that. So that was one of the positives that came out of it.
And I think there was a lot of things that were silver linings. I think it's good that humanity slowed down a little bit. I think that
Totally.
Zoom's been huge. I know that, like therapeutic appointments or medical appointments that you used to have to load up and drive a half hour. You know what I'm saying? You could just
Yeah.
do it over the phone and it would be fine. So
Totally.
it's a good thing. So let's get to the exact heart and soul of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. One of the
Okay.
kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
For a third grader, I would say I help people figure out what they want to do with their lives and then figure out the steps to get there. That would be the third grade answer.
But it's so essential for us to get to that point. There's so much. And I know personally, when I got out of school, it was like I remember that first week of college, I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
It was
It,
unbelievable. It was like an entire year worth of reading in
yeah.
one class, jammed into every
Yes.
class in 1 week.
Yes.
So so my question to you is before we get into all of the kind of the philosophy and how we structure education, what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
Well, don't laugh, but in third grade, I wanted to be a rock star.
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to jump around on stage. I played the best Air Piano to Separate Ways by Journey. But the problem is I have zero musical ability and talent. I love music, but I can't sing an entire song all the way through without hitting some bad spots.
Yeah.
And I don't play any instruments. So that was just a kid dream. I think after that, I really thought I wanted to be an attorney. My mom told me I was really good at arguing.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe being an attorney would be a good way to go. And then I realized all attorneys do is read legal documents all day long. It's
Yeah.
not like television, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my third grade stuff, I think.
So what was the first concert that you ever saw that blew you away?
Well, the very first concert I saw was Rush, the Moving Pictures tour.
Yeah.
And what blew me away about that was Neil Peart,
Oh,
had that whole drum kit back there, and he threw his drumsticks up every time and never missed when they came back. It never missed a beat. It blew my mind. But the best concert as a young, one of my first shows was U2. Uh, ugh, I'm
yeah.
telling you, the Joshua Tree tour was epic.
Oh
And
man.
this was back when you could buy scalp tickets. I was at Hartford Civic Center. My neighbor, John Wickham, and I, we went with $100 bills in our pocket. And that was a lot of money back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And we just got tickets 2 nights in a row, went to the show, and it was the most mind-blowing, to this day, probably the best concerts I've ever seen. Yeah.
Have you seen this viral video that's going out? They have this new place in Vegas that the entire like top roof of it turns
Mm.
into like a multimedia thing. You
Yeah.
too did it. And Bono was even up there looking around, like they were playing one, and
Wow.
he was looking up there at all these images that were floating around. Just Google it. It's starting to get viral. It's like
It's
you
in Vegas. I'm going to Vegas. Is it in
okay.
Vegas? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go. I'm gonna
So
go.
it's this big bubble thing, and on the outside of
Jeez.
it like has all these images and everybody's getting into it, but on the inside, it's called the Sphere, I think, is what it's
Okay.
called.
I'm writing
Yeah,
this down.
yeah, the
Okay.
Sphere.
I'm gonna
So
look it up.
and you should see the clip too. It's amazing. It's like
Mm.
how did they do that? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm jealous. The Joshua Tree was the serum for you too. That was
It
epic.
was so good. I just can't even so good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, I remember when I was in college, I went to the University of Missouri, Kansas City.
Okay.
And one of the most revealing raw classes that I was in was college reading and study skills. I
Hmm.
just didn't realize how I needed to approach this.
Yeah.
I needed an ombudsman. It seems like that's a lot of what you're doing, right? Helping navigating this map.
I do, I'm a life coach. Yes, that's part of it. My philosophy for coaching students, I'm really about helping young people get to the core of who they are. I have a saying, when your gifts are met with passion, you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
So a lot of students, parents say, hey, be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. You can make money doing that. And that's a great career path if that's what you want to do. But if it's not what you want to do,
Yeah.
that makes for a really tough college experience, life, and a life full of not passion. And so I keep students on track. Yes, I do all the, hey, here's great study skills. Let's do this. Let's get in front of these issues. But a lot of what I do is engaging on campus, stepping out of your comfort zone, how to communicate with people, forging relationships, good, solid relationships with good people, with professors who can write great recommendations for you. Just blowing up your college, making the most out of your college experience. Going to college and don't just let college happen to you. Actually experience it. Yeah.
Yeah, that when I think back, like I will go and teach podcasting. My day job is as an IT technician for a large school district. So
Okay.
I go and teach podcasting to educators, and I'll get on college campuses and you just feel that energy. And I
Yeah.
remember how seminal that was for me and how many dreams and how many things I went after. And it was just a think tank. It was during the grunge era. It was the 90s and probably
Mhm.
about the time you were in Kansas City, and it was good,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's something magical about it when you do it right. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot on the line with college. It's expensive. So if kids don't show up and really figure out what they want to do with their lives, it's an expensive road.
It back then it wasn't that bad though.
It
Now
wasn't.
it's crazy.
It's crazy. No, it's crazy.
Then the best advice I think I got was from a friend of mine who ironically didn't go to college. And I was on my fourth year and I had a half year to go. And I'm like, well, just going to take time off. And they were like, are you an idiot? Why would you do that? you're never going to go back. So I just
Yeah.
finished it up. And that was some of the best advice,
Totally.
you know?
If you take time off, there's times when maybe a gap year or something will work, but that is the big challenge is going back. Junior college students, there's a statistic, I think like some 70% of JC students never finish junior college or transfer to a four-year university. So when there's an interruption in the college, I wouldn't have gone back if I
Yeah.
left the semester. I wouldn't have finished.
Yeah.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. It would have been foolish. So in your life of feeling motivation, you clearly have a lot of motivation. Who's been a hero for you?
My heroes, I stumbled upon, personal development work. I did a lot of, courses and classes and coach training, and that's where I learned coach training. I would say my heroes are some of those thought leaders, the Brene Browns of the world, Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson. A lot of the personal development people have been just these, they really cracked me open. And I feel like I've just become a different person as a result of all of that work.
So you may have answered this next question. If you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and
Yeah.
spend some time with them, who would it be?
Just one person.
No, you can have a table. Have a dinner.
Okay.
Host the dinner.
At my dinner, I would have Bono, Brene
Yes,
Brown. I mean, we gotta get Mahomes and Kelsey have to be there. I mean,
absolutely.
that would be epic. I would have, let me see, how many more fit at this dinner table?
Keep
Let me
going. Just you keep going. Fill it up.
I mean, Marianne Williamson, she would be there. Gosh, it's Theo Epstein. I got to
Yeah,
talk to that guy. I have to
yeah,
talk to that guy. Like how he took, I'm a huge Red Sox fan. So how he took the Red Sox to championships and then did it again for the Cubbies. I mean, I got to talk to this man. Uh,
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
that
it's,
and that leads me to my next question. If you could go back in baseball history and see any
ooh,
moment
oh,
with your own eyes, what game were you going?
1976 Carlton Fisk's home run.
I was just interviewing someone earlier on today, and they were like, I thought they were going to say that, but they said Kirk Gibson 88. I just I've always thought about that too. What an iconic, like no
It
one's ever done that.
Right. Crazy. I would also love to go back to game 4 of the ALCS in 2004 when Johnny Damon hit the grand slam. And I knew he put the dagger in the Yankees. I just knew we were going to the World Series. It was like, I would have loved to go back to that moment too.
It's so weird to think that he was a Royal in the beginning.
I know.
It,
And
you
then he
know?
became a Yankee.
Yeah, right. So what game was it that Davey stole the base? What when was that?
That was game 7. It was I think it was game 7. Wait a minute, or was it 4? All I know is that backdoor sweep, it
Yeah.
all blurred together for me because in game 3 I thought, here we go again,
Yep.
right? Every Red
Hmm.
Sox fan was like, here we go again. And then I just felt with every win, it's like they're gonna do it again. They're gonna take us all the way to a game 7 just to disappoint us. So when Damon hit that grand slam, I was like, we might win this game. We might
Yeah.
go into the World Series. It started to feel good. So
What
yeah.
year was that? Was that what year?
Oh four. That was oh
I
four.
remember that was the year my son was born, and I remember I just got away from baseball after the strike. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it. And I
Yeah.
remember that pulled me back in, and I didn't have a real reason to like Boston because I was a Mets fan,
Right.
early on.
Sure.
And I remember buying a Boston hat after they won it in '04. I
I
just
just think
remember that.
I just think everyone wanted them to win
Oh,
then
of
because they
course.
hadn't won for so long. It was just one of
Oh,
those, they became America's team in that moment. Now nobody wants them to win because they've
right.
won too many times.
Right, right,
You
which
know?
is a good problem to have. And
It's a
it's
good
kind of like
problem.
the Cubs in 16. You just are pulling for these people to get rid of that hoax, that
Yeah.
stinker, So
Yeah.
it's interesting. So what is it every day for you that is a motivator that gets you out of bed, that gets you to want to accomplish and to meet the goals that you have for your life?
I am really a person who I'm incredibly passionate about helping people become who they're meant to be. There is no bigger motivator to me than when I'm on a call with a student and the lights go on, and I know that I've made a difference in a little subtle way. It's my business is about the ripple effect. I'm a huge I'm going to digress a little bit. Just yesterday, and this might be a good example of this. I had two former students call me. They were twins. I worked with them when they were 15. Sometimes I work with high school kids, and they're like 22 years old now. And I got a phone call. I haven't spoken to them in probably 3 years. Yesterday, I got a phone call, and they said, "Kim, did you get a new car? I think I just saw you drive by," and I didn't. And we talked for about 30 minutes, and it was amazing to catch up. And I think the thing is, you don't realize how you affect people. And I just think in general for anybody, you
Mhm.
never know what positive influences you're having on people unless you're always being the best version of you,
Yeah.
putting that out there. So that's what motivates me.
That's a great answer. So let me ask you this. If you have a dream tonight and your
Mhm.
college age version of you comes up to you and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom that
Yeah.
you've gained up to this point, what advice would you give that version of you?
Besides lay off processed carbs, besides,
Right.
okay, that would be one of them. But the real advice I would give honestly is don't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
I think that as young people, we're so busy. You know, if you look hard enough, you'll always find someone better than you in everything. If you look hard enough, right? So stop with that. Just we're good enough exactly who we are. Just be in that moment and just keep moving forward.
That's so wise. So of all of the things that you've done, overcome, accomplished, and become, what are you the proudest of?
You know, it's a little bit of what I already said is just knowing that I have so many former students that still text me every once in a while and contact me. I'm really proud of the connections that I've made, of the person I feel like I've become. I wrote a book a few years ago, and I'm not a real writer. You know, I guess I can't say that because I did write a book, but I'm really proud of getting that thing done. I was challenged in a business development class to punch this book out, and so I was proud of that because I had to sit down, and I'm not a sit down and get things done person. I'm a connector. I'm a, you know, I speak, I motivate, I do these types of things. I've done a lot of speaking. I did a baccalaureate of pre-COVID. So I'm proud of some of those experiences that I've had.
So as a writer, what was the first book you read when you were a kid that really opened the doors up, that made you either want
Ugh.
to write or read as much as you could?
I I am embarrassed. So when I was a kid, I loved Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Like I think I read all of those. We had all of them in hardcover, every book, and I would share them with my sisters and my brother. I never I never wanted to be a writer. I just it was a challenge, and you know, now I'm kind of, you know, I blog and I do things like that, but maybe I'll challenge myself to write another book.
Yeah. So everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, all the college kids that you help, but
Mhm.
ultimately you lead the charge. What's your
Okay.
perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Wow. This sounds like a job interview question. I should have an answer to this. Um, I, you know, I am a down to earth, easygoing person who just really cares. I have a great sense of humor. I believe in fun, and I think that life is meant to be experienced and have fun with it. You know, what's the point if we
Yeah,
can't have fun? So I just love to interact with people and connect with people and have fun and be passionate and positive, and that's me.
Eddie Vedder once said, if it's not fun, it's funny.
Yes,
So there you
that's
go.
very true.
So what do you like the best about living in California?
The weather, hands down.
Yeah.
I mentioned I grew up in Connecticut, and I remember back in the day having to shovel my driveway out of the car to go to work. And it was before, and you had to turn on the car for like 20 minutes so the ice would melt on the windshield kind of thing. Man, you cannot beat the weather. I
Oh,
live a block from the beach, so we are always like the coolest it gets here is upper 50s in the
yeah,
winter in the morning, and but it's pretty consistently 60 to 75 degrees where I live it all year round. Can't
that's
beat it.
wonderful. That's
Can't beat it.
wonderful. So Kim, if anybody wants to learn more about you, hire you, get your book, anything
Yeah.
revolving around your world, where do they go?
Yeah, just go to kimgirard.com, KIMGIRARD.com. I have links. I will talk to any parent or student for free. They can click right on a consultation link and schedule a call with me. I just want to help people if they're stuck, if they don't know what they want to do with their lives, if a parent is worried about their kid, they're just not having a great college experience. Yeah, just schedule a call. I'm happy to
Okay.
help.
So before we get out of the door here, this doesn't happen that often with the Kansas City connection. It's kind of rare.
Yes, yes.
What did you like the best about living here?
Gosh, it was so long ago. Honestly, it was so I had a group of friends and I wasn't a football fan until I lived in Kansas City, and they dragged me to this bar. Do you know Tanner's?
Oh yeah.
I think it's over in Olathe or somewhere over there because I lived on the Kansas side.
Yeah.
And every Sunday we watch the Chiefs at Tanner's every Sunday, and that was to me the best. And I've just become a huge fan. It was Steve DeBerg and Christian Okoye and Nick the Kick, all those
That's
guys back when.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
fun. Dick
they were
Thomas.
great. Yeah. So um I just lost my place here. I was just thinking about, oh, I know what I was going to say. There's been a lot of places, different cities around the country that have Chiefs bars. Like I had a friend that went to
Mhm.
Seattle and he said we had a Chiefs bar. I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, it
Wow.
was full on. And I've seen that on Twitter where there's like cities that have like this full community. It's wild.
Really?
Yeah,
I am gonna search. I mean, this is Los Angeles. They have to have a Chiefs bar
they
somewhere.
have to.
I'm gonna find it.
100%.
Joe, I'm
Yeah.
gonna find it and then I'll let you know.
Yeah, send me a picture from there.
I will.
Absolutely. Hey, Cam, this has been so nice. Thank you so much for your story. Thanks for opening up.
Thank
This was
you.
wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Send my
All
best
right.
to California.
Will